Happy Friday, happy June, happy summer. Welcome to MVP Office Hours, everybody. I am Dale Ziegler. Along with me, as usual, my friends Squire Kirshner and Joy Shutters-Helding. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so this is the call where hopefully you have questions and hopefully we have answers and all things Salesforce open issues and everything. You can follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow Joy and Squire and MVP Office Hours as a whole on the Twitters. We also have our informational site, mvpofficehours.info. You can also email us at that Gmail address there, but you're going to get an out-of-office reply that says, hey, go find this group on the success community, because the more the merrier. We may not be able to get to your question as quickly as the rest of the group, and that's what this is all about, is everybody helping everybody. So go to the MVP Office Hours US Trailblazer Success. I've honestly lost track of what we're calling it now, but that group, go to that. Go find it, super easy, it's public, join us, answer some questions. We are, for now at least, this month feels normal, right? First and third Friday of the month. Our next call will be in 2 weeks on June 16th. If you've never been here before, it is an open Q&A. You can always get the next registration at this bit.ly. You can catch recordings of past calls. I think this is what, number 238. So any recording except number 1, because that's still lost somewhere, maybe in Joshua Hoskins, I don't know, Meet Me, whatever platform we're using next time. Otherwise, they're all out on YouTube, or get links to the community and Twitter. And if you post stuff on socials, please use one of our favorite hashtags. Welcome to everybody, current, future MVPs, because we're all MVPs. Everyone is encouraged to participate. We want you to share. First of all, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to share your insights, your expertise, your experience if you have solved that question, that issue before. This is, again, everybody coming together to help each other. We are using the chat to get valuable links. Like Joy, for example, just posted, I'm assuming looking at the URL, that is the MVP Office Hours group. Anybody can go to there. If you're not following the group, go follow it. Great example. We'll also then, anything that gets shared and discussed will be in this deck, which we will share out sometime this weekend, maybe even today. Just depends on when we get all the stuff captured and put out there. But share the links, share. If you have a question, you can either use Zoom's, raise your hand reaction in the chat, or if it's dead air. I was a broadcast journalism major, and dead air was my worst enemy. So just speak up and just say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I have a question. Whatever. If we start to see multiple people raising their hands, or you can communicate in chat that, hey, I have a question, we'll form a queue and we'll just go through first in, first out, and we'll do everything we can to get everybody handled. You can share your screen, but please do not share a production instance. We are recording this, which also, side note, if you are not allowed to be recorded, if you don't want to be recorded, please jump off. We'll get this uploaded to YouTube, like I said, tonight, this weekend, whenever, and you can catch everything there. But we don't want you to share your production instance, because that's your production data, whether it's your company or if you're a consultant and your client, whatever. You can show us dev orgs, show us playgrounds, show us sandboxes, show whatever, just please not real data, anything that's going to have real data. And we like to have fun, but let's keep it professional. We're not bagging on our companies. We're not, bagging on anything that we wouldn't want to have rediscovered later and held against us in an HR office or court of law or anything like that. Just keep it professional, but we're all friends. It's Friday afternoon. Let's just have some fun.
What about a former company or a former company that we heard about?
No.
Really? We can't say bad things about those people?
No, you just stick with my, with Graham and Judy's advice. And if you don't have anything nice to say, save it for a private conversation.
Oh, okay. Oh, that sounds
That's not like... really what she said. She always used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. and all that good stuff. So,
Make sure
Okay.
the person leaves the room.
That sounds like great rules. Thank you.
Exactly. Upcoming events in the community. We got Buckeye Dreamin'. That sounds like a fun one. London's Calling, Dreamin' in Color. We got a whole bunch of good ones coming up here in the next few weeks. Connections, Joy, I know, has said that she's going next week. And I'm sure soon Dreamforce and World Tours and everything, we've got those coming up around the corner. So
September
follow
12th, I think.
it's when?
September 12th through the 15th, maybe-ish. Someone
Okay.
else can keep me honest, but
That sounds right.
Cool. Any of those links that you see on the right, and again, we're going to share this deck out later, but to follow the Dreamin' events, which are community led, to get information on Salesforce events, or in the lower right, if you are not part of your local user group, join those as well. Get to know other people who are there in your metro or in your town or in your area that are doing the same thing as you are. You are not in this alone. And really, that's the biggest thing we're trying to show here, is that none of us are doing this alone. We are here to help each other. We're here to help each other grow. So please dive into those links and get connected and attend some events. So with that, we did have a couple of posts hit the community group over the last couple of weeks. I think Todd was an easy answer, and I think his came in first. So we'll address his, and then we'll do Sarah's, and then we'll open it up for everything else. So Todd, we can all read, but you are on the call. You want to talk about what you posted and what you found?
And what I got for an answer?
Oh, sure.
We were trying to do a dynamic. We were trying to do a dynamic form and control the visibility of some things on the contracts object. Turns out contracts has not been enabled for dynamic forms yet. So we were able to accomplish what we needed using a page layout and field visibility rules.
And tech that story for when that becomes GA.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had this conversation a lot as dynamic forms and dynamic page layouts was becoming more and more of a thing of when will it be enabled for standard objects and da 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 da. The thing we always have to remember, and I think we take for granted, is custom objects. They are one thing. It doesn't matter what you're using a custom object for, it's all a custom object. The standard objects, they are their own monolithic silos. That's why they came later. They were trying to solve for that. Contracts is even like beyond that. So I think the hope is
going on. A lot of stuff going on behind them.
Contracts have always had their own things to consider from day one, like the relationship with accounts and sharing and visibility and blah blah blah. So I'm sorry that there wasn't that's not ready for you to take advantage of now. It's probably going to be last on the list because contracts always has been, because that's just the nature of contracts in Salesforce.
Yep.
It just is. So,
And my deal was I just made an assumption.
right.
It was wrong again.
No, hey, I'd rather assume wrong than I'd rather assume wrong than miss an opportunity, and I would have been right, you know. But,
Yep.
Hey, Todd,
Yes, sir.
this is Stuart.
Uh-huh.
I'm your friend.
All my friends.
Is there an idea link that friends like me can vote on and share with others so that we can get the thing up into product manager's face, so we can add this to the list of stuff we need to put into dynamic forms and pages?
I do not know because I didn't search for an idea.
Well, somebody smart like Joy or Squire probably
accuse me of being smart.
has this on their fingertips right now and probably could share that with us. I'm sure there's
And
somebody that's asked for this, right?
and I appreciate that you level set appropriately that I am not smart enough to find it, because let's face it, come on. I'm not.
May not have, it may not have anything to do
I
with
got it. I got it.
intelligence.
Got it.
I
Yep,
just
me
knew,
too.
I just knew that Joy would find it like the fastest.
I got it. I got it for you. That's fine. I was having some salad. Well, you guys are talking.
Heyo.
Yeah. Sorry.
I do not want to know that.
What? It's a very healthy salad.
I'm
Very
eating
healthy.
chips.
Not a
by the way.
Midwest. Even though we're in the Midwest, it's not a Midwest salad that has
No,
at
it's
least
not a
3 cups of
Snickers
Miracle
apple
Whip in it.
salad. No, it's not a
Yeah.
Snickers apple salad. Like that's not a salad. That's a dessert.
I
So
think I found it, Stuart.
Todd, you're awesome. I would just suggest to everybody that's listening to this video later in life, vote for this. We can help people like Todd and perhaps your future self. Perhaps. I'm
Yeah.
also raising my hand just like Dale did.
I would
I
have
love
to assume there's probably one of these for every standard object, but I wonder if is there a roadmap for these? Do we know?
Okay, going back to being professional and not bad mouthing. I'm saying this in the context of not bad mouthing. I'm going to guess Salesforce has received so many complaints that they got to be very careful about what they post on a roadmap.
So before you continue, the idea that I posted for the contract object and dynamic forms, it says winter 24.
Where?
Oh,
hey.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Forward
Yeah, so crazy,
looking
right?
statement. Let me just
For
say
sure,
those
for sure,
three
for
words.
sure.
Forward looking statement, even though it's in writing.
They said targeting.
Targeting.
and
Targeting.
They
Thank
said
you.
contracts should be included safe harbor. So if not winter 24, maybe soon thereafter. But that was what Julie Thompson posted against this idea a month ago. And so that's fairly recent in the scheme of things. And then that was the Snicker salad link, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, looky at that.
Wow, 1,000 entities. Hmm.
My Google search fingers are working today. Yay.
Yay.
All I needed was a
Okay.
challenge. All I needed was a challenge. Sorry.
All I need is a miracle.
That too.
Okay. Let's move on to Sarah.
Unmute, Sarah, unmute.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So I posted in the community and Andrew says that he can walk me through this. So if we don't solve it today, I'll probably hook up with Andrew anyway to go over it. But I was just wondering if folks had gone through the process of creating a custom domain for a Experience Cloud site, or like, I know you can do it. I know there's help documentation, but I would appreciate a talk through instead of just reading all the mumbo jumbo stuff from the help docs. This is sort of in anticipation of enhanced domains are coming. The short version is that the my domain that I would like to have for our forward facing website doesn't exist because CDSS is already taken by somebody else. And so our current my domain is CDSS Office, but I don't want that to become our Experience Cloud site domain, which it will when enhanced domains go live, et cetera, et cetera. But I found this alternative, which is using a custom domain, i.e. like we could create commons.cds. We call our Experience Cloud site the commons. We could call it commons.cdss.org or something else, cdss.org, and use that instead of the my domain that we're going to be getting in a matter of, days now. So I was just wondering if people had done that process before, and if there was like gotchas, or like if we could just sort of say, like, I know from the we have to from the ISP side or from our domain host site set up the website the domain that we want to use, but then from the Salesforce side, how we go ahead and do that piece.
So, I mean, I think, yes, you're gonna have to do some work on
Mhm.
your internal side.
Mhm.
If you own the URL, you're gonna have to connect from that end anyway.
Okay.
But should be. Where did it go?
This is
I
always
know
my
the
problem with
answer is
Experience
horizontal.
Cloud is like finding where that setting is because there's like 3 different places to look.
Exactly. Um, is it you? I don't know. No windowless vans have pulled up in front of my house to take my kids away, so I didn't overcommit to something. Yeah. I mean, I think it should be configurable on the Experience Cloud side.
Mhm.
It would, though, also require work with your IT team who is in charge of the domain itself.
Yeah.
So if Andrew has done it, I think you're going to have a more efficient conversation than
Great.
it would be had here. So
Okay. Well, I will connect with Andrew and go through that with him.
Have you tried the Experience Cloud success group? There might be some
Oh,
feedback or ideas
that's a good
there as well.
idea.
Like maybe not the walkthrough, but more like watch out for this sort of responses.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Should check that out.
get that
Yeah, mostly
filled
it's just, I
in.
sort of start getting lost in the like all the different layers that get added to trying to make this work. And it's been great. We've, since pre-enhanced domains, you could have a separate domain for your Experience Cloud than you could for your My Domain, but now that's all getting lumped together. So
it with that, we know there's been a lot of evolution in my domains and all those things, and it feels like it's happened relatively rapidly. For anybody who's watching this and has never heard me get on my soapbox about it, this is absolutely where I would, as you're doing it, stick with Salesforce documentation. Don't go to a community-led blog post. No matter what the best intentions on it may have been, it is dated, and I can probably almost guarantee has not been refreshed to modern standards like Salesforce H&T would be. So just putting that out there.
Smart.
Okay, I know how to hit Command K. Cool. Who is next?
Nothing's been posted and there's nothing else in success, but the door is open for anyone who needs to have their questions answered.
I'm really confused about this last one. I'm still struggling on it.
Command K, that's the shortcut for inserting a link into Google Slides. Is that what you were asking about? No? Okay.
Google office hours.
You're still upset about my jab at you that I didn't lump you in with the smartest people I know.
I would know. I said I appreciated that you level set that I'm not smart enough to do it. That wasn't a jab. That was
No.
just accurate reporting.
Oh, I see. Host disabled you from screen sharing. I appreciate that.
We
That's
can,
Squire. Squire's the host.
Thank-
I'm just a co-host.
I can
Thank
let you
you.
in. Here you go.
I'm just a co-host.
Interesting.
Oh.
I see how that works. Just because it's all about me, I don't understand this. Tell me more. Is this stuff driven by something inside of Experience Cloud itself? Or when I go into setup, I see the sites and domains, and then I see this thing called custom URLs. Are we talking about custom URLs here? Is this where you set up custom URLs in setting up the domains and sites? I know you can set up like the different sites, and then there's this custom URLs thing here to set up domain and site relationships. Is that what we're talking about, or is there's a different thing inside of Experience Cloud itself?
I think this is a piece of it, but that's part of where I keep getting confused too, is like, I don't quite know all of the steps because it seems like you have to go to multiple places to make it happen.
Yeah, there is definitely a piece in Experience Cloud, I think, administration that you have to manage it, because this almost tells me within setup that you want to make absolutely sure this doesn't have anything to do with integrations when you're trying to actually integrate your org as a whole. Just, you got to be very mindful. And again, this goes back to look at help and training documentation, not necessarily blog posts, because the word custom obviously gets used everywhere. Sites has been used in many different ways over the
Sites
years.
is
Yeah.
meaningless. I can't read that word.
Domains is meaningless.
Yeah.
Like, these terms have become so overtaxed that
Yeah, that's
draw it
part of
out. Like,
why-
honestly, as you're doing this, draw it out. Have a diagram that you can map your way. What'd you do where?
It's also really easy to lose your way through the semantics of what is your domain versus what is a site URL versus what is a resource URL. Like they just, everything gets used incorrectly so often that now everybody speaks gibberish, but infers they know what they're talking about. So so like the enhanced domain is just your domain address for everything else that sits underneath it. And then this is how you start to combine URLs onto the same domain with that branching structure, et cetera. That's the super short version of it. Right. So your domain just stops at what with the new format, it stops at .com, right? And then / because of the naming convention. And then the URLs hang off or are appended.
Right.
Yeah, everything's gonna have the same kind of root based on the new formatting.
Right.
Yeah, I think the idea of using the custom domain is that you can have, for Experience Cloud sites, you can send somebody to something that doesn't have my.salesforce.com in it. And that's what I'm thinking would be better
Yeah.
for us as they're making this change that is going to force us to have a domain that doesn't make sense to external users.
Yep.
Right.
And I is that, now I'm guessing again, but when you do that, you don't actually, it's just a redirect, right? It's almost
think
like a
so.
Bitly that's Salesforce flavored, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
It's like pasting it on top of everything else. And that's,
But I believe with clients I've had in the past, there is still that element of having to work with your internal team
Yeah.
so that they can receive it as well.
right. Right.
All right.
Sarah, we're hoping that after you figure this out, you've got a 5-minute version of it next time.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of us that are scratching our heads. So,
That or a Dreamforce presentation.
ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
You
if I
got-
could figure it out by June 8th. Yeah, right.
Six, is it the 6th? I think it's the 6th.
I could like preemptively put in an abstract before I know what I'm doing.
Do it
There you go.
and then figure it out later. I think that's the way most people. Oh, I
Sure.
shouldn't say that.
No.
Because I can't
I
can't talk.
sorry.
I can't talk for most people. I don't know what most people do. I hardly even know what I do. I don't know why.
I
I'm
will
here.
say,
Why
like,
am I even
N
here?
of, I'm N of 1. I did that a lot and got rejected a lot, but I also did it really quickly. Like, oh, I have this great idea. Type it out, send. Oh crap, I got rejected. Maybe it's because I did it quickly, but I think the more you can build out on it, like, you have a good framework here. You have a use case. You have a why. Your
Yeah.
abstract will just come naturally from that versus, oh, I have an idea. So
Yeah.
And don't worry about the abstract. It's only 200 characters.
Right.
You will
One
not be able to
sentence.
fit. Yeah, you won't be able to fit
No.
it all in.
But then you
That's
have
true.
1,000 characters to put whatever you want. So
Right.
you can put your whole presentation.
Are they still doing video submissions this year? That was
I didn't
done
see
last
any.
year.
I didn't see any.
Like
I've
you
done a
could
few
like add a little
submissions.
pizzazz to your submission with a video.
You can add a link though, if to stuff.
There you go. Do a video, put it on a different place and link it.
I do have a comment. Are we open now? Is this
Yeah,
open?
Bring
Okay.
it.
I'll use to.
I haven't been here for a while, so I have a comment and then a question, and then that question I'll ask every single time I'm here from now on. Comment is this morning I went to a user group session. This is just kind of a plug, but it was for the financial services, even though we're not a financial service cloud company. But I went to the financial services user group, which was kind of a shoot off of that. Now they're called the Salesforce Insurance User Group. I'll put the link in here, and run by two of the smartest people. They happen to be MVPs, Danielle Laffey and Monica Sandberg. Monica Sandberg gave this demonstration on refactoring workflows and process builders into Flow. Boom! Like my mind was totally open to it was crazy awesome. She is amazing, knows a ton about flows, and I was just the whole time I was like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. We have so many smart people in the community, and just like dropping into this this session, I'm in awe of how much intelligence we have in our community. And so I just recommend that if you see, like, keep your eyes out on what's going on in events in the community, and if you see something that's interesting, pop in, especially if it's virtual. Pop in, and if you got time, look. These are just anyway, that's my plug, is just follow smart people, because gosh golly, they're smart. And then here's my dumb question. I've seen smart people talk about this. Salesforce is moving from profiles to permission sets. I don't know if you know that or not. Cheryl Feldman's been talking about this for like a year. And I've seen smart people
for last year at Dreamforce on that too.
yeah. Oh, great. And I know that there are like systematic things, like what needs to go into a profile and what is a part of a minimum profile, a base profile, and then how you layer permissions on top of that, and like the right way. And I even kind of presented this to my own company. But then after doing that, then people came back to me and said, okay, so how do we do this? We've got like 12 different product teams that are all building on Salesforce and Service Cloud and Sales Cloud and Marketing Cloud. We've got all these different things. How do we know what goes into our minimum base profile? How do we know how to set up these personas for the different permission sets? How do we know, like, what are the next step? And I'm just like, yeah, that's great questions. Let's collaborate. Let's set up meetings. Let's talk about what are the jobs to be done? What are the things that people do in the system? What kind of security, makeup do we have? Let's talk. And then I think, oh, I am painting myself. I have no clue what I'm doing. I hope nobody from my company is listening to this, because they're going to be like, he is a complete idiot. Is there guidelines for what does that mean to be a minimum base profile? Like, I know what goes into a profile, but what are you doing with companies to say, here's how we're going to set it up? Boom, checklist 1, 2, 3.
That is a phenomenal question.
So I talked about that at DevOps Streaming. And my boss presented it at TDX. We submitted to present it at Dreamforce. And I'm up to my like elbows in it at work. It's not going to be the same for everybody, because not everybody's business is set up the same way. You might have a minimum access profile by department, not just a minimum access profile, because of things like default record types and page layouts and assignments and all that kind of fun stuff. But we have like layers to the cake, if you will. And we decide what cake stand we're using first, your minimum access profile, and then layer the cake from there. The folks with everyone that needs the read-only stuff gets the read-only permission set. And then there's folks that will be editing, and then there's folks with superpowers. And then depending on what that looks like, the persona will get a permission set group. And so say you're a salesperson, you have your permission set group, and then sales managers will have a different permission set group, but they will include most of the same permission sets. And then the managers will get that superhero level added on. I can share the recording with you from TDX if that'll help you. And the deck.
So, which I think, yeah, because I can say as a consultant, it's been a very long time since I've done a brand new implementation of Salesforce. It's always existing orgs. And we've relied on if our client is still using exclusively profiles, we will recommend permission sets, but they'll do what they want to do because they're usually so entrenched in what they've been doing. Or we'll hear, we're doing permission sets because that's what Salesforce told us to do. Okay, why? Do you have a why? Because Salesforce told us to. Okay, this controversial statement of the week from me, this is Lightning 2.0. Here's why. It's been 8 years since Lightning rolled out, and we are still not at full parity with Classic. Like, this was a very, again, well-intended idea. There was probably a developer like super deep in the basement of the basement who discovered, oh crap, we got to do this because the infrastructure the profiles are on is starting to crumble. We got to get ahead of it. Hey, permission sets, that's on something a little bit more solid. Probably, but with all the things that you can do with profiles, with all the things you can do with permission sets, but with the things that are firmly attached to profiles, like all the things, this is going to go on for a while. That you can say you're going to permission sets, and permission set groups, great way to bundle them, because a whole bunch, like we all remember when permission sets were born, they were meant to be one-off ad hocs. They were not meant to actually manage your security. And then all of a sudden, hey, we're doing it. It's like, oh crap, I'm gonna go to the grocery store and pay in pennies. Like, that's basically what it was. Now at least we've invented dollar bills that are the accumulation of 100 pennies. But still, like, you got a whole bunch of people who have jars full of change that they need to know what to do with, because they can't just walk in with their jar full of change. This is going to be a slow march. Like, it's for the good, but Stu, I think what you were asking is, like, what's your decision point of what needs to be profile versus what can be permission set versus maybe what has to be permission set. And enjoy, again, if you can share the recording, like, I need to dive in. Well, no, I mean, no, I'm just saying, like, if you're able to find it, I need it for my edification, to be perfectly honest, just to be a good consultant. But I want to give Salesforce the benefit of the doubt that they've thought this through and publicized, like, the here's why, not just because it's new, but because, like, not just why, but then how, working your way out in, Cynic's golden circle, that it's not just here's the what, but that we have a why and a how for you to determine here's how to build your roadmap. I'm hoping that exists.
Dale, by you saying that, now I have a bigger fear by saying that it may be like the Lightning migration. Some of the companies that I worked with Lightning migration did a planned approach and said, okay, we are going to move like department to department and actually think this through, and what do we need to have in Lightning, and what are the modules going to look like, and how is it going to be designed, and that sort of thing. Most of the companies I worked with waited until the last minute. All of a sudden, here comes spring 26. Oh, we need to move the profiles to permission sets. Here's what we're going to do. Salesforce gave us a tool that says, here's the profile to permission set tool. We're gonna just dump all these profiles into that tool. It's gonna spit out a bunch of permission sets with the same names. Bob's your uncle. We're good. Now we've got a bunch of permission sets, the same names as the profiles, and we can still run as we did yesterday.
And that already exists.
And I'm not sure that that just pushed a bunch of sausage through a tube that created new sausage. I'm like, well,
Mhm.
I mean, that solved the problem for you, but that doesn't really, it's not
So
what it meant to do, is it?
I think you're describing exactly why it's not going to be, why it's taken so long to make a decision and define it, because we're making a lot of assumptions about like the ease of conversion and the ease of like even an understanding of how profiles and permissions are going to separate, because you would think they'd have to ensure that the model is followed, right? So like hypothetically, everything on the system end of a profile remains in profiles, everything else goes to permissions. Like that would be an easy cut, slice and dice. But all the things you're describing, Stu, represent like this is more than a user interface change. This is bigger than just a conversion of workflow to flow. This is full system access assessments. And so I think that they are going to drag their feet a lot to ensure that there is a very clear not only roadmap, but definition of what that means to get there, because who's going to own the orgs toppling like dominoes? They are. So this is going to take forever, which is good for us as architects, as admins, as developers, because what it allows us to do is to throw this kind of this unknown flag on a roadmap and say, we got to start thinking about this. We don't know what it's going to look like, but the sooner we start assessing and evaluating what profiles mean to us now and understanding what each setting means and what we might do with it if the opportunity arises, that gives us an opportunity then to say, like, I mean, Joey just said it, right? Like, what are we going to do about record types? I don't know, but we just had the conversation, so put it on the roadmap. We have to assess how to handle that, right?
Yeah.
Because record type is a great example. You can't have a default record type on a perm set. You have to have a profile for a default.
Yeah, and until they say, this is how we're going to handle that, you can't plan for it, but you can set that roadmap item, right? You can say, when they tell us, now we know, we assessed it, we understand our inventory, we can now make adjustments. And I think until then, you can lean into the permission set model as defined and start to slowly transition, FLS.
Don't get me started on FLS. That's my next rant.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I think what you're describing, Stu, if I'm not mistaken, is like the anxiety of not knowing, but being smart enough to know that's a problem. And just start to have the conversations. Sorry, I cut you off like 7 times, Dale. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Like and FLS, for if anybody wants to know why FLS is what my next rant is, the more I cringe every single time Salesforce increases limits on the number of fields on an object, because people are just going to extend that. Guess what? Now that you're converting security from profiles to permission sets, that's that much more magnified exponentially that you will have to account for in that. But as my manager always tells me, don't bring problems, bring solutions. One thing that I have absolutely geeked out on over the last few years, and I challenge everybody to do this, and it's relatively easy, is learn how to package. Because packaging and getting XML files, it's just top to bottom text, essentially, with attributes on, you name it, on the metadata of your org. I've gone in and made my own Excel and Google Sheet workbooks that just wait to consume an XML file, and then breaks it out into like a workbook that says, for this profile, here's your field level security across all objects. Here's your OLS across all objects, like all that kind of stuff. Learn how to package, because if you do get forced to convert from profiles to permission sets and you're tackling like 600 fields on 200 objects, that will help immensely because you can actually then create your permission sets off of that XML. You can at least expedite it if you understand how it works. Honestly, I think it's a good skill for people to pick up because otherwise you will be drowning. There will be risk of stuff didn't get moved over, or there's redundancies, or there's gaps, or whatever. But this is a long haul. It is absolutely going to be a long haul unless you just turn on a brand new org, in which case, great, do permission sets, have fun. Because honestly, that's what it feels like with a lot of these things Salesforce has done, and they'll even write into the release notes. If you enabled your org after a certain point, this is your default. You actually can't go back, which I appreciate, but obviously very few of us, if any, have brand new orgs. Our orgs have been around for years. Our clients' orgs have been around for years. So we have to figure out how to solve for that.
The other thing I want to add to this conversation is that it feels, to me anyway, that features like the user access and permission assistant and the what's the new automation tool that just came in that you can assign access. Crap. There's another app that just came out with the new release or last release. You know what I'm talking about? It's like it's basically like automation for like administration of users, but I can't think what it's called right now. Those feel like the cornerstones of a conversion conversation, right? We're giving you the tools to audit, like what you just described, Dale. Salesforce saying we're going to give you tools to help you not only manage but also to audit, so that when the big aha moment comes, they're going to be able to lean back into tools that are going to help you get there.
Yeah.
What is that other thing? Now it's making me angry.
Well, there's that user access policies, open beta, delegate administration of permission set groups, and what is that other tool? Why do
There's
I
a
not
new report
see
tool
it
for
here?
community guest permissions. That one?
No, I know what I'm thinking of. It makes me think when I saw it, it was like, oh, this is flows for user administration, and I can't. It might. Is it that access
Like
manager?
Is it linked to login flows or?
No, I'll find it. But like all these new things that we didn't really need, because there's more things that we need, like say dynamic forms and contracts. But those things make me think that there's at least thoughtfulness on how you're going to get there, versus like when workflow popped up and they're like, we'll just give you a converter. That felt very like tactical. This seems very much more thoughtful to me anyway. So I'll find it.
And in summer 23, there's also a new feature that lets you set field level security on permission sets instead of just on profiles. So,
but what happens like I'm gonna go back to, if we're going to all permission sets that were originally meant to be ad hocs,
yes.
what are you going to do with the people that actually created a whole bunch of permission sets before permission sets was the way to go? Or just have a bunch of permission sets in general. You're still going to have, I haven't looked at it, so I'm asking an ignorant question. Is it a whole line of checkboxes where you can check most of them and uncheck what you don't want? Like what?
So my company, one of our orgs, had over 900 permission sets.
Mm-hmm.
And this was part of what compelled the model that we created, right? Is that we had so many requests come in. We're like, we need to be set up like Susie, right? And we're like, oh, great. Well, Susie has a lot of permissions. So how does that fit into what you need? And they couldn't explain what they needed. And that's why we came to this, like why we came to this model, because there are permission sets that may be very, very specific, like edit this super secret field on this object. And so dialing that back and like pulling it all out, it's been a long, tedious process, and it's literally been going on for over 6 months, over 9 months probably, at our company, as we dial back from the 900 some permission sets to the more succinct permission set groups that tie those things together. But it's not easy, it's not fast, it's not great, but the layering helps. But you're right, like if I I would also say, as you have new departments coming in to your org, perhaps you use the new the new model going forward, because it's wild. But what we've been doing is we've been assigning the permission set groups to a super user and taking away the old ones, and then they tell us like in real time like what they're missing and what's going on, and we try to minimize the damage as we go. So and it's with people who know what they're up against. They're very vocal about what they're doing. They know their job. They know what they're missing, what, you know, they understand what's at stake. And it's been a really great partnership with our end users who are very much in tune with what's going on. So there's that. I almost have the recording. I got to find it. But
You're good.
it's not good. It's so buried. I'm like, it might be somewhere like in my personal Google photos or something.
Or it might be in the trash bomb that's behind Squire there.
So that's all I got. There's a lot going on. It's big. But Cheryl is like working on presenting it. There's Louise Lockey has some angles on it also. And there's I'll think of her name in a second. Allie's last name is escaping me. She also has an approach. And not every
Allie Lawler.
Yes. And not every approach is going to be a fit for every org, obviously. Like there are some orgs that are never going to have more than 100 users where a different approach might work better. I'm working with well over 1,500 users, and so we're at a bigger scale. And then there's orgs that have over 30,000 users. So there's a lot that goes into it. But
Yeah, about 4,000. And so
Yeah.
that's something that it can be pretty messy, but thankfully I came into the org with all of that set up, and I was surprised and didn't know why they did it. And then when we started going that direction, I was like, oh good, we're already there. It needs a lot of cleanup, but it's already heading in that direction, which helped a lot.
So I'd be curious to know how you're documenting that for both tactical and strategic review and changes, etc. Like
I
that
love to
many
say that
users.
it's in a Salesforce org, but it's not an Excel spreadsheet.
I actually like hearing that it's on an Excel spreadsheet, just from a filterability standpoint and everything.
Yeah, that's where we're starting.
Gotcha.
I would like to say ours is documented, but I promise it's not.
Right.
So this is prod. Oh no.
We're at like 9 till, and Squire and I both have hard stops. You want to just stop recording?
That's
You're in
fine.
PowerPoint. How dare you show us production PowerPoint?
This is production PowerPoint. But so you're not gonna, and you're
Hello.
And then it froze. Oh,
Oh, we
stupid.
lost him. Oh
He
no.
had a connection.
What
Hey,
happens?
we
when
can't
you
hear
show
you, so if you're
prod.
swearing, you're on mute.
I am.
Oh.
It definitely doesn't want me to show anything.
AI. Seriously, AI.
Yeah,
I'm
Chat
just saying.
GPT knew that you were trying to show something you shouldn't.
We weren't going to announce that until the July call.
Well, screw that. Okay, anyway, but it's a PowerPoint Excel how we're doing it. But we had CRMA, and using CRMA, then I was able to investigate or analyze all of our profiles. We have 48 total profiles in use, and then 99 total permission sets in use. And I can see who all are assigned to all those darn things.
For how
And
many
then
users?
for over 5,000. So it's not like
Gotcha.
it's not like huge, but 5,000 users is enough.
That sounds pretty tight,
That's pretty
actually. Like, you said 40 profiles, 99 perm sets.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds pretty locked in.
But now we need to do the investigation with these. They're over several different product teams, and now we have to go in and to each one of them and say, how do we build? We need to build personas around these things, and they have some things that are hard coded with some custom permissions, and to say what can't we move? Like we know that there are some profiles that we just can't touch because there's some code that's written around them. And so first, stop coding things to profiles, code them to custom permissions, and then we'll figure out how to attach those custom permissions to the users. But we'll have to take it step by step.
Mhm.
I'm curious, what are people's like most granular permission set, like the fewest things assigned with a permission set? Like one
mean,
field?
I mean, like a single field on a single
Yeah.
object. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean like when
We have
permission
lots
sets were
of
first
those.
born?
Yeah.
View, social security number.
Yes, that's the one. Tax ID number for a specific group, and it's such a pain.
Yeah.
That is probably the absolute like tiniest, biggest thing that sits
Mhm.
alone. Like it's and I'm sure that there's other folks that have similar things, but like viewing credit card numbers might be another very small specific thing
I think that's
depending on your space.
one of the hard things too with the permission sets is to figure out, like, you could assign every single field with a single permission set, but that's ridiculous. So like, where are those balances between,
Right.
you know,
Um
My
for
thought is that you're going to start to see permission sets being verbalized as persona sets.
mhm.
If you think about them that way, you might have more as an admin to manage, but it's clearer what they represent.
So I sort of
Right.
thought that's what the groups were for, right?
Well,
right.
but if you make them granular, right? So like if
Right.
you're able to define, like, let's use Joey's example. If you just want to have access to credit card that you want to be able to drop into lots of personas, that works great. But now you're actually managing permission sets and then a group which represents persona. So now you're actually managing 2 layers of abstraction.
Yep.
You just have a persona per permission set. You know exactly what to fix, but now you've got a huge overhead of maintenance.
So hold on, you're saying that a persona would be on top of permission set groups on top of permission sets?
I'm thinking that you're going to see permission sets are effectively persona sets. And there's groups are just a way to group personas, but like that way you wouldn't the conversation would be more about a permission set means you're a salesperson, you're a marketer, you're a whatever, because that's what you can't do with profile, right?
But you technically, that's what profiles initially, that was the use case profiles initially handled, and then permission sets were the ad hoc,
Mhm.
add 1 or 2 more things.
Yep.
So
But I
it's
mean,
like taking a
they
step
transit-
backwards.
Kind of, except that if they separate profile from and permission set to be something like profile as a system level versus permission as a persona level. And now with muting, you have the way to not do exceptions with permission sets, but you make exceptions to the rule. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it just feels like that's the transition. That's how you can best orchestrate a conversion, is to say, like, so in my case, I'd have in our main org, we support 10 unique business units. So we have 10 profiles that represent the default system access for each business unit. Then within each business unit, I would have a permission set, which represents a persona level of access. And if it makes sense to then, well, credit card, you could group it, but you don't have to. And now you can then, you know what you're changing and why, but you have huge overhead.
That persona thing is going to be interesting. At our org, we're already talking to our enterprise entitlement security group. And they come to us and said, okay, we've just hired Squire.
Yep.
Squire's role is just like Joy. What is Joy's persona in Salesforce? Because we're going to set up Squire's persona just like Joy. And we're saying, well, Joy is this persona. And right now it's a profile, and then we can add on permission sets to that. And we can, tell them that based on a tag or a code or something that goes on her user. In the future model, it's a little more vague. Like we can't just say Joy has this tag on her that says who she is, because persona is a level of different permission sets.
100%.
And
Right.
the enterprise wide system that has these personas in them is going to be like, well, what does that mean? Like, tell us what that means. Like, well, what
It's
does
almost like
that?
you're
What does that
denormalizing
mean?
permission sets. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, Dale.
So
Go
I
ahead.
have my second controversial statement, and then I have to go.
Oh, you're gonna drop it and run?
Permission set groups. Permission set groups. Process Builder 2.0. And I'm out. It'll be here for a little bit, and it's gonna be gone because we'll be like, wait, hold on, we didn't need that.
Yeah, you might be right. You might be right.
It's really cool. It does all the things. Whoops, out of date.
Right. I think once they figure out how to handle the like the page layout assignments and the default
Mhm.
record types and all that stuff, then we are going to be dropping profiles like hot rock.
Or at least you'll know why you have a profile and why you have a permission, not that they both do the same thing, right?
Right. And I mean, gosh, you know, someone out there, someone really smart out there is going to be able to like say, click a button and convert this profile into a permission set.
But here's the
It's not
thing.
going to be great though. It's
You
not.
can already do that.
Well, classic's never going to get turned off. It may never, no, hear me out. It may never formally get used, but Salesforce legally cannot turn it off as long as they still offer Visual Force and all the things that never fully became Lightning compliant.
Mhm.
Salesforce will never be able to turn off profiles because that is a security backbone that, let's say you have orgs that don't actually have someone at the helm, and then poof, you take away profiles and there was nobody there to create permission sets. You have companies now going at Salesforce saying, hey, our stuff doesn't work anymore. Salesforce can't yank that out without some kind of a hard litigious action.
Mhm.
So in the absence of that, you may have people never adopt permission sets either because they won't or they can't.
Oh,
There's got to be a consultant out there just like waiting to pick those folks up. It's 2:00, friends.
I don't know.
It was great to see you. We'll talk to
Yep.
you all again soon. I don't know. I'll be at Connections if anyone's there. And if you know, I put the call for speakers for a Chicago user group. If you have a topic you want to talk about, I want to hear about it. And then you can do that as a test run for the next big event.
Boy, Melissa Hildes will be there.
Yeah. Oh, fine. Fine. She-
See you guys
All right,
later.
thanks, everybody. Have a good
bye
weekend.
all. Great
Melissa.
conversation.
Bye, friends.
Gotta go. Bye all.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Stuart, if you've got questions, oh, he left. I was going to tell him if he had questions. Oh, everyone's gone. Bye.